Hello everyone, I am the Lore Explorer, and this video will contain spoilers for Outer Wilds Echoes of the Eye. In today's loop, I want to do more of an analysis thing. I know people are looking forward to lore and theory videos, but I like to be annoyingly thorough with those so I minimize mistakes. So in the meantime, I figure we can do some discussion type videos. So today, I want to talk about the different reasons for exploration presented to us in Outer Wilds. When you think about it, the three species we are introduced to all have vastly different methods or reasons for their exploration. And this also leads to different kinds of exploration, so I thought it'd be fun to compare those. In my opinion, this is a topic rich for discussion, but before we can compare them and talk about them, we sort of have to define each species and how they go about it, why they explore and how they are doing it. So first, we should probably just start with the Hearthians. When you actually look at this species, it's pretty capable. They can basically be looked at as human equivalents in their progression as a society. Just like us now, their elders are the ones who took the first steps to the stars. And since then, they've dedicated a lot of their civilization towards space travel. Just as our children do, the children of the Hearthians like to play with the latest technology, and the boldest amongst them even want to go to the stars. This actually leaves them a pretty capable species to explore the solar system around them. With only having a few generations of astronauts, it's amazing that the Hearthians have been able to explore every planet in their solar system, even if they haven't heard back from Dark Bramble from Feldspar yet. They even set up a giant telescope in the middle of their village to observe their closest galactic neighbors, and they are trying to spread even further with deep space satellites and telescopes. But the way they explore actually seems pretty safe for their society. With a bit of a lack of care for their personal safety, everything seems to be sustainable. The majority of them seem to be exploring space for the sake of genuinely learning about their surroundings. Sure, some of them may just be doing it for the thrills, but either way, in what seems to be a very short time, the Hearthians took the leap from combustion to air flight to space flight to having camps on every planet in a remarkably short time. Having shown tremendous ingenuity, having mostly wooden spaceships, it's amazing that they ever even got off the ground. But all in all, Hearthians show great promise for the progression of their exploration given time. It's a shame that they were born at the end of the universe, but I suppose they did have the final most amazing adventure in the end. Or at least we did. On the other hand, we have the Nomai. It's hard to know if that's a direct translation, but if so, it's a species that literally named their entire selves based off of their inclination to explore. See, they're a nomadic species with one goal in mind: seek out new things and come to understand them. To do so, the species left their original homeworld. They built many spaceships and split into separate clans. These clans keep in touch with each other often, and they all met each other every 10 years to share the knowledge the separate clans have learned. Then, they'd all implement that knowledge into their current way of life. As far as I can tell, the Nomai simply explore the stars for essentially the same reason the Hearthians do: to learn about their surroundings. The Nomai's horizon have just spread a little further than the Hearthians have, so they have to go about doing it in different ways. The Nomai essentially harness the material of the star systems that they visit to ensure that they can keep exploring and do new experiments. For the most part, they have strict principles that they adhere to. It's okay to use planets in their materials because, of course, they need a way to continue to travel through space, but they are not to destroy or disturb any natural environments or damage them in any way. It's sort of like a strict non-interference policy. If a plant or group of plants is growing in a certain area and they need that area, they at least have to safely relocate those plants so they can grow elsewhere. If they need to take a certain ore from a planet, they need to make sure to leave enough for any species that may evolve in the future. In no circumstances is it okay to destroy something to learn something. So in simple terms, they're very conscious of the environment and the impact they have on their surroundings. But just like the Hearthians, it seems at least the clan of Nomai that we knew weren't always so safety-oriented. They did go out of their way to keep the local environment as is, but they got a little out of hand with things. The clan we know does eventually risk our entire solar system's well-being on the off chance that they completely understand this brand new phenomenon that they discovered. This just goes to show how much exploring and learning new things meant to the Nomai. At times, it even looks like they sort of worship the eye of the universe and focus on one thing and not just learning as much as they can. But mostly, they have safe, sustainable, and good practices for exploring space. Now, it's not really fair to compare these two species to the Owlks, because we've only seen them make one trip and we don't know much about them, and we don't know how well versed they were at space travel before then. I think we could all agree they'd have to have at least a little bit of familiarity to space travel to have been able to create the stranger, but even so, we know this species had a homeworld that they enjoyed very much. They lived there happily and probably at least explored much of their homeworld, if not solar system. They seem to have kept it pretty clean, as the place looks serene, until one day, one of their telescopes received some data. Seemingly through light, I'm not quite sure yet. This is why I need more time to study for lore videos. Anyway, as soon as they receive this information, they call their friends, and when they get there, they all put up their arms as if they're worshipping it. Whatever information that light passed on must have been very compelling or important to these people, because they threw all caution to the wind to go explore and see what this thing is. They tore down their homes, cut down every tree, emptied the rivers, and left their homeworld a dry ball of dust, completely obliterated, all to build a single spaceship that they could live comfortably in. And I guess you can squeeze some sort of logic out of it if you think about it. If you are going to leave everything and try to get to the eye of the universe, it's an interstellar journey. Even in outer wilds distances, I imagine it would take a long while for them to reach the eye. They didn't have warp travel like the Nomai. They wanted to bring their whole species too, so it would have to be a huge ship to house them all. But honestly, it just seems so short-sighted and a horrible decision. At the time, it seems they don't care and are willing to destroy everything they love to explore one unknown thing. My guess is that this signal that they received was maybe something they prophesized as a species. It seems to me that they may be very spiritual or religious, and this is the only thing that I could think of to convince a happy species to destroy everything they love. Blind faith. Which brings me to the crux of what seems to be the source of the Owlks' exploration. Blind faith. The blind faith that whatever they saw was so powerful or meaningful to them, it was worth destroying everything. It's quite sad when you think about it, because we know this species were capable of creating normal spaceships. They probably could have just visited one of their neighboring planets to get the resources, or maybe even find a way to get ore from the ring around their home planet. But their plans were just so short-sighted, it's kind of scary. They did everything they could to get off the ground immediately. I couldn't imagine neither the Nomai or the Harthians doing something like that. Yeah, the Nomai basically do terraform our entire solar system into a tool to find the eye, and for all intents and purposes, they did kind of blow up 9 million iterations of it, but they genuinely thought that they were reverting things back to normal after the probe found the eye's coordinates. And maybe they did, who knows? And keep in mind, when the Nomai clan that did all of this, they were trapped in our solar system. They were a clan that sort of fell out of touch with the original Nomai way of life when you think about it. Even one of the young Nomai, Phlox, told everyone, "Hey guys, what are we wasting our time here for? Can't this advanced warp core thing here power our vessel? We are nomads. We should be focusing on traveling the stars and not the eye of the universe." So it seems even a young Nomai was able to recognize that they were a little bit blinded by curiosity. But geez boy oh heck were the Owlks blinded by pure faith. Pure faith that the eye would be something straight out of a fairy tale. Who knows exactly what they expected out of the eye, but it's kind of disappointing because we can't really compare that to when we found the eye, because who knows what would happen if the Harthian species somehow found the eye, and we can only guess what the Nomai would have done if they had finally found the thing that they seem to have worshipped. But simply because the eye wasn't something amazing, the Owls condemned it. They condemned the eye to be confined off forever, never being able to call out again, sort of like they did to the prisoner. Then, the Owlks created a simulation in which they could lock themselves away. They could have came to our solar system and explored. Honestly, Timberhearth wasn't all too different from their homeworld, right? I mean, it just didn't have a big, beautiful ringed planet in the sky in view at all times. But we have rivers and lakes and fireflies and fish. They could have made a home here, but after their one bad experience with exploring, the Owlks no longer wanted to explore anything. I mean, it's sad. To be honest, they remind me of the friend you finally get to go hiking with you, then they stub their toe once and condemn hiking forever cause quote unquote it sucks. I mean, heck, at the very least, they could have just lived on in their awesome spaceship and have it project the ring planet onto the giant screens they made, right? They had a bunch of different options available to them, but they were petty and bad explorers and they decided to lock themselves away forever. I could never imagine the Nomai we know doing something like that. Even if they went to the Eye and scanned it, and the Eye straight up talked to them and told them like, hey guys, I'm gonna reason with you. I'm going to kill you all now to ensure that life lives on later. I mean, I can't imagine the Nomai trying to seal it away and running away. Personally, I think they take that as an honor, as if they searched out and found what created the universe, and they were able to take part in that process. That's sort of how it feels to me. I couldn't imagine Solomon or Pi getting mad. And now that I'm thinking about it, it actually is a fair comparison, because the Owlks gave up everything they love to try to reach the Eye, but you know what? So did the Nomai clan that we know. The Nomai not only lost their vessel, the thing that houses all of their technology and knowledge and serves as their home, they lost 2/5 of their clan members as well as their nomadic way of life and their clan leader, like geez. And even then, they never harbored resentment or fear or hatred. I mean, some of the Nomai worried and thought that maybe the Eye did that on purpose, or that it stopped calling to play tricks on them. But even so, they kept their nose down and worked to prove themselves right or wrong. All in all, I'm sort of happy the developers added in a species who doesn't explore for the sake of thrills or exploration or knowledge, but for the sake of finding something in particular and seemingly failing at that. It contrasts the actions of the Nomai, who failed to power their Ash Twin projects and just went, oh well, maybe we just need a break and we'll come back to it later. Sadly, truthfully, exploration-wise, I think the only redeeming factor the entire owl species has is the one true explorer in their species, the prisoner. The one who woke up out of the dream world to let the Eye call out freely. Maybe they wouldn't experience it themselves, but just maybe a romantic adventure would happen because of their actions. I think that's why they did what they did. I think the prisoner at heart is a true explorer. And I wish we got to spend just a little more time with them. And I sort of wish we knew them as a species more, just before they decided to reach the Eye, maybe let us understand them a bit better and, figure out why they did what they did. But either way, I don't think faith is a best reason to go exploring the universe. But that's all I have for this video. Again, I wanted to serve as kind of a conversation starter. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you liked it, consider hitting the thumbs up button and subscribing to the channel. I try to release a video at least once a week, and as usual, a special thank you to the members here on the channel. Your support really does help the channel. And as always, this is the Lore Explorer, diving deep into the lore so you don't have to.